Adams van Sale or Conscious Carrigal here. And tonight I'm talking to a guest that I think doesn't really need an introduction if you've been perusing the South African YouTube sphere for a while, and that is Mr. Renaldo Gouws. And we're just going to be having a chill chat about the South African YouTube sphere, alternative media versus the mainstream media, and we're going to see where it goes from there. Welcome to the show, Renaldo.
How's it, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. It could be better, but I'm coping well with the lockdown. I don't know about you.
What lockdown? There's the lockdown. Oh, yes, of course.
Imagine there's just a guy that's just been completely unaware about the lockdown. He's just been walking around and he doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
And everybody's leaving him alone. Like, nobody cares. He goes into the shop and, like, he's just confused why the bottle store is closed. But other than that, he doesn't have a time. So he just thinks it's like Sunday and he can't buy booze after a certain time.
Yeah, can't buy cigs. What the hell's going on? And he's just he's almost like a Truman Show scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's a comedy skit there where you write a comedy skit about this guy that just doesn't know about the lockdown. I think
to get into it right now.
I think this whole COVID and lockdown thing is going to influence comedy definitely in the future. I think it's going to be a main topic in so many stand-up acts and stuff where people are just going to joke to almost like it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, they'll definitely do that. But I mean, I'm already gutful talking about it. So, I mean, I hope that they have unique ways of joking about it, because at the moment, it's just like, I think everybody's just so over it, you know? But I mean, I think we all owe an apology to 2019. I think all of us owe an apology to 2019, because 2020 hindsight, you've got 2020 hindsight, literally.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is that every year people say, oh, this is the worst year. And I think it started around 2016 when they're like, no year can be worse than 2016. And then 2020 is just like, hold my non-alcoholic beverage.
We literally a third of the way. Today is literally we a third through the year. And it feels already like worse than the last 3-4 years put together.
Now, to get to the topic of what we're going to discuss, I think, during this lockdown, what we've seen on South African YouTube is an absolute flourishing. It's almost like a blessing in disguise. A lot of South African YouTubers, especially people talking about what's going on around them, are seeing massive growth in their subscriber count, massive growth in the people watching live. I think, what was your live viewer record before you reached like that 20,000 day where it was like this absolute just chaos?
Look, I would say before the lockdown, because I had a previous stream that had about 6,000, but that was also like Sonar. I believe it was a State of the Nation address. But before that, I think it was Helen Ziller when I had 800 people at any point in time watching a stream. So yeah, I mean, that was 800 and then 6,000, and then that 20,000 one just came out of nowhere.
And like I've told you, I think a little bit of a reality check there as well, with 20,000 people watching live and the majority of people in the comments saying, who's this oak? Who the fuck is this? I have no idea who this man in the cap is.
Yeah.
This is clickbait. And I think that perception, or that little bit of dose of reality, kind of wakes you up to the fact about how small the South African YouTube bubble still is.
It is. And I mean, what really sort of made me, I mean, I'm not sure if my thumbnail game was just on point or, because I mean, my icon is there for everybody to see. And it was literally I was saying, watch live. Here's the thing though. I'm not trying to say that News 24 copied me, but I'm the one that always said, watch live. And then I used to use that bracket that is a straight bracket between my sentences, and then I ended with South Africa. I was one of the first to do that, and then I saw that News 24 copied it and ENCA copied it, and then also added to that, when I was watching the News 24 live stream, because I used their feed, I could hear myself on their feed when they went live. You can actually go, it's the Patel live stream, the one in which they break down the levels. On second 40, you can hear me speak. So that was like, okay, what's going on here? But anyway, I mean, yeah.
What do you think happened there?
I think because, I mean, we all use the software where I mean, I'm assuming that they've used some software for audio that is separate, so it plays whatever is working on the screen. because I mean on my streams, what I use is I use a loop back is what it's called. So if I want to play anything from audio sound, then I play it through that system. So they probably had another window open to check what I was talking about, and then when they went live, it was also playing that music or my voice or whatever was on their screen, because it was 4 seconds and then it stopped. So I'm assuming that's what happened.
Mm. Now, yeah, well, you're talking about now maybe your thumbnail game is just top notch, but at the same time, it's not like this is your first rodeo, man. You're pretty much one of the OGs when it comes to YouTube, and I think arguably with now what 78,000 subscribers, you're the biggest, most subscribed channel within the news and politics section of South African YouTube. But
Yeah,
it's not like
independent. Yeah, I mean ENCA and News 24's got they've got like 500,000. So
yeah,
I
but they're
think
a
I would
corporate
say
entity.
one person. Yeah.
Mm. But then within that context, if you look at it, it's not like you just became this big overnight. How long have you been hanging around YouTube, your channel? When did you create it?
Well, I checked. I think my channel was created in 2006, 2007. I think I uploaded my first video a year later. But back then, YouTube was really different. I mean, my channel, when I started, I didn't even speak about South Africa. So what was really like popular back then was to like to mark gat of people, you know. So the smaller YouTubers up and coming would look at the big YouTubers and mock them because it was like all friendly banter, right? So my first channel was literally me taking whoever is the most popular and then like mocking them and memeing them and doing that stuff. And then a lot of the subscribers that joined from overseas like said, yeah, where you from? And then it's South Africa. And back then it was, oh, but you're white. You know, so it was, so then I was always political, but I decided, let me talk about politics. And yeah, back then my subscriber base was skewed with American, Australian, New Zealand. So it was pretty much all the expat countries, all expat people that were watching my content. And then it just grew from there. But I mean, back then I used to upload a video once a month, once every 2 months, you know. And I've only really started doing this consistent uploading thing, I would say, for the last 4 to 5 years. And that is when I've actually seen the growth. But over the last 2 years, YouTube has become very like woke. So they don't really promote anything other than the main news channels at the moment. So it's,
No,
it's a
well, that's what
struggle at the
happened.
moment.
Yeah. Well, firstly, maybe for some context, I've been subscribed to you, I think, since like 2011. But for the interesting reason, now that you've mentioned
OG.
that YouTube was a different place. Back
Yeah.
in the day, like during that time, you could see who was the most subscribed South African channel this week. Or they said like, this person is the most subscribed South African channel this month or whatever. And you were once or twice, I saw your name there. Like I was just checking out other South Africans on YouTube because it was still, I mean, there weren't any South African channels at that time. And you were still a reindeer at the time. So I think, yeah, I've been subscribed since like 2011. So yeah,
I remember they still had those medals. So it was like a little red band with a gold medal that says top rated, most viewed, most subscribed. I remember that. Good old memories.
Yeah, it was a different time, and the channel layout looked completely different.
Oh yeah,
And
it looked like shit.
But then also, when you look at it now, what happened was YouTube, I think they call it the priority creators program or something like that. So they give priority in the search algorithm to certain channels, and those are authoritative voices, as they've labeled them. So this is the Fox Newses, the MSNBCs, the CNNs, the News 24s, the ENCAs of the world. So when you search, back in the day when you searched Cyril Ramaphosa State of the Nation address, you would get the most viewed or the videos that got the most interaction talking about the State of the Nation address, not the video that comes from the preferred channel. Now today, you have to sift through a list of 10 or 15 recommendations, which are all those priority creators, mainstream creators first, and all the corporate creators first, and then you get to the U of YouTube, where it's just regular oaks talking about it. It's actually quite sad how it's gone now.
It's pretty much what I've come to realize is YouTube looks after people that invest back into YouTube. So what you will find is like News 24, ENCA, SABC, all of them will put ad revenue into YouTube to promote their videos. And then because the smaller channels don't do that, they tend to focus more on those channels. And then added to that, because of this whole new super chat and membership thing where they can take a percentage of, or 30% of that, they've pretty much now given a little bit more attention. But we can dive into that. I mean, 5 years ago, 45% of my views was recommended by YouTube. So I would say 45% of new subscribers came from YouTube recommending my videos. Now I went from 45% to 2.5%. This last year, YouTube has recommended 2.5% of the total views that I've got. So you see a reverse snowball effect. You would think that the bigger your channel gets, the more people will be able to find it because there's more people on your channel. Not in my case. If I don't upload a new video, or if I don't promote it on Twitter or Facebook or what other social media platform, then I will lose subscribers. And I've had those where for a week I haven't uploaded anything new, and then I will have minus 15, minus 30 subscribers a day because of that. And that's pretty much because of the algorithm that YouTube has. That's why some other channels, which won't be mentioned here, that uploads like 50 videos a day get so many new subscribers, is because so many people find it because of YouTube pushing out that algorithm.
And I think that's what we're seeing here now, is that back in the day, it was a free market on YouTube. You got successful because people liked your content. And if you put out good quality content, but also if you advertised it well enough in terms of what's in the title, what's in the thumbnail, what tags do you use, that also played a big role. But nowadays you're pretty much running a race with a weight tied to your leg, and the other oaks are running pretty much unabated, for example, the bigger corporations. But in the end, I think what's going to happen is that's going to hurt YouTube in the long run, and there's going to come a competitor somewhere down the line, and YouTube is going to have to reassess in terms of how they treat their independent content creators. But haven't you ever considered channeling some of those super chats to YouTube and saying, I'll make a yearly donation, just push me a little bit up in the algorithms. I've got some good quality South African rands here.
You see, the thing is that I have everything, like, how can I explain it? I'm lucky, and the thing is, I feel really, really sorry for up and coming South African content creators like your channel, right? And Ramon and Germ and other channels that have amazing content. Because I mean, the stuff that you talk about, I would honestly say on here, like, you go a lot more in detail on important topics than what I do, right? So your channel technically adds a lot more value than me just reporting on what is news. But yet you won't get the support from Google Africa and from YouTube South Africa like an American or a European person with your amount of subscribers would get, because of the fact that you aren't one of the big mainstream media outlets, and especially in news. What is it?
News and politics.
Politics, especially because that is such a no-go area for YouTube, because of the far left and the far right, that they don't want to push out that type of content. So I feel for you guys, because at least I had a head start where YouTube was quite free, where it was still, the slogan was still broadcast yourself, which was fine. And that over the last, like, I would say definitely solidly for the last 3 years have changed completely.
But I think also what I'm seeing to counter what you're describing there, I think what I'm seeing is that people are becoming innovative in terms of marketing their content. It's no longer I don't, for example, my channel, I don't rely on the YouTube algorithm to get my views anymore. I care about, for example, how I promote it on social media, who promotes my content, what I can do in terms of sharing it or making my content of a nature that people want to share it, or that it's information that they think they would like to share with people. And then that kind of keeps your channel going. And I think with your channel, at least you've gotten that head start. You've got that nest egg of subscribers, so they share your content on social media as well. That helps a lot, seeing as now when you search, I think I did an experiment a few months ago where I took a video title of mine, copied it literally and put it into the search bar on YouTube, and it was, I think, the 20th result.
Yeah. I've seen that too. And that was back to the point that I wanted to make is that I am completely where I am because of my subscribers. And I'm not talking about the amount of subscribers I have, I'm talking about the views that I get. So I, on an average video, like a video that does neither good nor amazing, I get about 15 to 20,000 views, right? Which is, what is it? It's a quarter of my YouTube channel subscribers, which is, it's all right. You know, you get that click through rate, which is decent. But I mean, if I had to rely now on YouTube promoting my channel to get more subscribers, I would be screwed if I was lower.
You
And
would be a
so,
negative growth probably.
yeah, I mean, it would completely be that way. And I mean, you know, we don't do it for the money because up until I'd say last year, August, when super chats and memberships actually became a thing, nobody could make a living off of YouTube in South Africa. Unless you were Casper Lee, which is also not really a South African anymore because he lives in the UK. Uh, but since memberships and since super chats, I mean, that has changed completely. And I mean, I don't mind sharing my information. I mean, my information's public. Today is the last day of April. For April, I've earned 50,000 Rand on YouTube. I mean, I've earned more on YouTube in this month that I've earned from my actual job. Let that sink in.
But now, on that note, do you still see YouTube just as your hobby, or is it something more?
No, look, YouTube will always be a passion. It's not a hobby; it's a passion, right? Even if I get 1,000 members that each pay 80 Rand a month, right? I will not quit my job. I do politics because I believe that I want to be the change that I want to see in this country. If I go back to just making YouTube videos, then the irony out of all of this is the reason I got into politics was because of YouTube, because I was always criticizing and people were saying, okay, well, great, you know, you've got a great insight, but what are you doing? What are you actually doing to fight the fight? And that is why I went into politics. So it will be a kind of reversal for me to do that, and it would kind of be like a sellout because then I'm just doing it for the money. And I know that people joke that I always ask for super chats and stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, I can sit on YouTube away from my family and spending quality time and do it for free. I don't know how many people will keep on doing that for free, especially after 12 years.
Mm. But now, seeing as you've been doing YouTube for 12 years, how did you find out about YouTube, and how did you really, what made you upload videos for the first time? Because seeing back in 2008, that's a very strange thing to do. It's really like a tiny percentile of people that feel inclined to, I'm going to put my video on this tiny little site, YouTube. Well, not tiny, but compared to today, YouTube was very small.
It's actually it was on my broadband on I'll never forget, there was a forum that came up that spoke about you know, YouTube, and I was like, okay, cool, what is YouTube? I mean, are we even saying it right? Isn't it YouTube? Isn't that even the correct way of saying it? In South Africa we just call it YouTube, you know, like a puncture tube, you know.
In
um,
coronavirus.
No, it's co-diff, by the way, the basic minister of education. Yes, I know it's basic minister. Called it co-diff. But anyway, I saw somebody. They post a thread on YouTube and what it is, and you know, people uploading videos, and it was like amazing. I was like, damn, this is. And then I went to go and watch it, and it was people. What was back then? It was cat videos, and it was people singing to songs and doing the most basic stuff, and it was just amazing back in the day. So yeah, and back then it was like I said, it was people ripping into other people. So it was people mocking celebrities,
Yes.
or you know, they're
Or
like the
videos
old.
videos of homeless people fighting in the street.
It was that type of stuff. So it was
Bar
hilarious.
fights.
Yeah, it was, but yeah, it was pretty much like, you remember the old UFC before
Mm,
UFC became legitimate? It was
yes.
just a bunch of people mooring each other with no rules really. So it was hilarious because it was uncontrolled. It wasn't owned by Google, and it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of time to because back then, I mean, I was a student. I didn't have DSTV. I wasn't interested to watch SABC or ETV, and it was literally the only platform that you could watch videos of normal people, not
Mm.
celebrities, just normal people. And I mean, I remember back then having 100,000 subscribers, you were like PewDiePie is now. A hundred
Yeah,
thousand subscribers back then was like, good God, it's insane. But here's a
yeah,
little fact that a lot of people don't know. My first channel that I had wasn't called, well, I mean, Rendier is what I was known as, but my very first channel was spelled
yes,
Rendier. So Rendier, right?
mm,
Not R3 ND
yes.
I3R. And that channel got, I think it had 15,000 subscribers back in 2008 or 2009,
Mm.
which was substantial. I believe,
When did you have the reindeer as a profile picture on your channel? Like I
yeah,
remember this black and white reindeer.
that was Rendier. That was the one with the E's in it.
Yes.
And what happened was Scott Herman, you know, those videos that
Mm-hmm.
people seeing me flex and thinking I'm serious. Those were the videos that were on that channel. And I mean, I had, yeah, close to 15,000 subscribers on that channel, and then eventually YouTube shut it down because they saw it as bullying, because that's when they started doing what they did. So
Right. I saw here Quentin Ferreira says in the chat, "Congrats on your success, Ronaldo. Well deserved. You should have Quentin on your show, man. Excellent guy."
I need to have him. I mean, I've been on his show, I think, a couple of times, or I've been once on his show, I believe. I need to have him. I need to
No,
make a plan.
Quentin the psychologist.
Oh, okay. No,
Quentin
that's not.
Ferreira.
No. Yeah,
Mm.
sorry. Okay, sorry.
No, I
I
know
need
who
to make a plan.
you're talking about. What is his name? Quintessential. Is that his
Yes,
channel?
that's right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, yeah.
sorry.
No, but Quentin Ferreira, the psychologist that I've had 3 times on my show now, you should have him on and talk about some psych. 2 psychologists. I think together you might have 10 degrees.
We'll fix some of the problems that meant the people have that with mental cases at the moment. We'll fix it.
Mm, right. So now that you're talking about that we're talking about social media and YouTube growing as a sphere, what influence have you seen of social media in South African politics? How has South African politics been influenced by the growth of social media? And this includes Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and more.
It's changed the game. It's completely changed the game. And I mean, I remember when I joined the Democratic Alliance in 2011, it didn't really have any type of social media presence. The ANC doesn't really have a social media presence, and the EFF uses it very well on Twitter, but not really anywhere else. So it definitely has changed the game in the sense that you can reach a lot more people without having to do the usual door-to-door canvassing. So you can reach hundreds of thousands of people by just boosting a post. But the problem with that is it's also given other people, the people like the EFF, an opportunity to brainwash people. So there's a lot of good and bad. Everybody has now got a soapbox that they can scream their shit from, whether or not it's good or bad. That's the problem.
But I think at the same time, with this new level of diversity of opinion that we're seeing, and everyone can get an opportunity to speak and put their opinion out there, I think that the positive effects outweigh the negative, because I've seen much more positive in terms of people taking on, for example, the lockdown or Cyril Ramaphosa's speeches, or pointing out things that the ANC or the ruling parties are doing, not even in South Africa, across the world, where you're seeing people doing excellent types of analysis. I mean, I've read threads on Twitter, for example, that have really given me some food for thought. And I think this whole new generation of online commentators that is still just budding in South Africa. We haven't even scratched the surface, I think. If you look at, for example, America and Europe and some of those countries, you have an entire ecosystem of commentators, and there's like a left-wing circle and a right-wing circle and a far right and a far left. And you get all this incredible spectrum of thought, and they all interact with each other, they debate each other. Well, that's why I want South Africa to go. That's why I want the South African YouTube sphere to go, is that you have this amazing, huge, almost nature reserve of commentators, but all these different types of species and different types of political thought. And then you've really got something going. Then you're going to see the mainstream really take notice.
I agree, but at the moment, it's pretty much just used as a weapon by either the far left or the far right. In the mid, the irony out of all of this is even the people in the center, like myself, even they get attacked. So at the moment, a lot. I mean, like there's a lot of evolving that needs to take place in social media in South Africa. It's still very very young, but I mean, you can just look at Twitter to get a feel for what social media in South Africa is really like. I mean, Facebook. I don't think anybody uses Facebook other than to just say hello to family or to post a picture of their dog. Same with Instagram. So I mean, for information, Twitter is instant. It's instant information, so it's a great source if you get to just block the accounts that really are terrible. But the problem that I've always had is anonymity. um, Anonymity is something that has really bugged me for a very long time, and it still does. Because what you'll find is the people that the reason people create an anonymous account, according to them, is to protect their jobs and to protect them from being attacked and being belittled and insulted. But yet, most of the time, you'll find those same accounts exactly doing that. So it's like a contradiction of them creating their anonymous account. And I think that if a firm stance had to be taken against these anonymous accounts and that you actually have to come out and share your real information, then you'll see the toxicity also go away. That's my take on it.
I've got some thoughts on that, but firstly, let's just give some people in the channel in the chat some love. I see Willem van der Walt says, "Conscious Karako, I find your content very interesting and insightful. Well done, Aaron." Well, thank you.
I agree.
Brilliant.
I agree.
I really, really appreciate it. And then there was a comment that really intrigued. Oh, this one. So Tolly BT says, "Black spitting cobra on the stoop made me late to the stream. Unbelievable. Evening all." Well, Tolly, I'm glad to hear you're all right.
That's a cock excuse for being late. I mean, really, just a cobra?
Incredible.
Just scoop it and sack. Just sack that thing, man.
And then Ruan Goosen says, "The center will always be attacked."
Why though? I mean, that doesn't really make sense.
That makes perfect sense.
No, it doesn't, because the thing is, right? The center. I mean, the easy argument is to say, "Oh, look, it's fence sitters," right? I disagree. I believe that the center exists in order to say, "Listen, guys, the left and the right has got some great ideas. We need to implement both of them in some form of way." And because, I mean, surely if you are a solidly right person, not all of your policies work. It's just it can't work. And the same with the solidly left. Not all of their policies would work. So a centrist look at it from a perspective and saying, "Listen, compromise a little bit here, compromise a little bit there, and then we can have a perfect system." But people look at centrists and go, "Oh no, you're just fence sitters." That's bullshit. It's not. It's actual centrist gets cuck from both the right and the left, whereas people in the left just gets cuck from the right, and people on the right just get cuck from the left. So
no, that's exactly why I'm saying it makes perfect sense that the center is constantly attacked, because you've got enemies on the right and the left of you.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I thought you were justifying them getting the cuck. Sorry.
Well, sometimes it is justified. I think sometimes you get a lot of lukewarm oaks in the center that just don't want to take a position on anything. So they say, "Oh man, I just take all the views into account," and then
I agree with you there. Those are fakes. Those are actually either left or right people trying to pose as centrists.
Well, then also my comments on the anonymity thing, I can't say I agree, man. In terms of anonymity, what I've seen is that, especially now and today, I mean, you've seen the outrage culture, you've seen what has happened to people in terms of just benign little things that they've said, trivial things that they've said online that have gotten them fired, gotten them attacked, getting them all types of threats and stuff. And I think, especially for young people that are, for example, in university or in school, or somewhere where they can actually face some serious consequences, and taking into account the absolute just state of the Overton window, where, for example, it's the current zeitgeist is completely far jerked to the left. And then if you just have a centrist opinion, even, you might get attacked, or people might be calling your school or your employer. And I think there is some substance there where people are anonymous just to put their thoughts out there, and not to have people attack them personally. Because I've seen this argument on social media where I put a someone with under their real name or their real profile picture puts an opinion out there, and then someone dismisses them and says, "Oh, but you're just a white man, or you're just an Afrikaans person, or you're just this or that." But when you're anonymous and you don't have that identity aspect to your account or to your profile, you pretty much eliminate that type of retort, and you force your opponent or whoever wants to criticize you to take on your ideas and your ideas only. And I think that is definitely a valid reason for a lot of people to be anonymous.
Nah, look, I mean, okay, so let me ask you on a percentage, how many of the anonymous profiles do you think is anonymous for the right reasons? Like honestly.
About 70%.
So you believe 70% do it for the right reason? No.
Yes.
I believe it's the opposite, but I would say it's 80%, 20%. Um the vast majority of interactions that I've had from anonymous accounts has always been toxic, overwhelmingly toxic. So I don't know. Like I disagree
Well,
with you,
I
and
would
I
have
I
to
believe
say, oh yeah, continue, finish your thought.
no. I'm just saying like I think that I don't know why, but it's like I see it in real life as somebody wearing a mask and then like hurling insults your way and you can't identify who that person is to hold them accountable. I think everybody needs to be held accountable. Yes, there are people obviously that would try and uh, derail you and try and get you fired. But I mean, as an example, I mean, I would think that I'm quite an easy target for the EFF and for the ANC and whomever to attack, and even the far right, even the Saitlanders and whomever. I haven't been fired. And I work for a political party that is quite liberal. So that excuse doesn't really fly. I mean, you are allowed your freedom of expression. So if you don't say some shit that goes against the Constitution and is hate speech or something as serious as that, then why can't you say it? You can actually make a lot of money out of it if your company fires you and it's an unjustifiable dismissal, or it's a dismissal that is a wrong decision. So I don't fall for that. I mean, I don't mean to disagree with you, but I just think that majority of people that create anonymous profiles is just so that they can't be held accountable for the shit that they say online.
Mm, I would say the things that I've seen happen to people on campuses, not just in South Africa but across the world, especially university students, I would say goes to the contrary of that, where people are getting real life consequences for things that shouldn't even be a
Yeah, but
problem.
I'm talking from a South African perspective.
Mm.
I understand an anonymous profile in China and North Korea. I understand that makes perfect sense
No,
to
I'm
me.
not
I'm
talking
talking
about North Korea or China. I'm talking about examples in the free world in America.
No, I disagree then. I think if especially I can only talk from a South African perspective because that's all I know. And I think that anonymous profiles in South Africa, majority of them do it because they want to hurl insults and not be held accountable.
Yeah, my final thought would be there was this one very interesting case of this girl that was playing Jordan Peterson clips in her class, or like she used it in a presentation, and she was called to the head of the university's office, and she recorded the conversation. Lindsay Shepherd, that was her name. So anyone, before we move on to the next topic, anyone that's interested in this, go search Lindsay Shepherd. I think she talked to Joe Rogan and she talked to
Mm.
Jordan Peterson as well. Very interesting to see what happened there. But anyway, here's a comment from Quinton Ferreira who says, "I was anonymous for a long time, used to agitate for weed legalization, and was always afraid of losing my job."
But
Let's see
that's
here.
cock though. I mean, who did you work for that would like you are allowed in our constitution to fight for those things without having to risk losing your job. I mean, I get the technicality. I get that companies have a lot of a lot of ways to try and get rid of you. But I don't know. Like, I suppose it's because I've always been outspoken, and I would show the middle finger to anybody that tries to shut me up because of my freedoms that I have. So I don't know.
Mm. But yeah, and then on that topic, I think what's definitely also a big thing that people are talking about more and more is pretty much the psychology of this outrage culture. I mean, you mentioned it quite a few times, where I think this links back to that question about the influence of social media on politics.
Mm.
Do you think this outrage culture has always been here, has always been around, but it's just the internet that's kind of illuminated or showed us that it exists? Or do you think this is something that came with social media?
It's amplified it because everybody feels that they are a reporter at the moment. So everybody wants to break the news first. That's why fake news is thriving in this country. That's why I see it time and time again where people want to share information, so they get that WhatsApp, and because they've got a Facebook profile with 300 friends or more, they think that they are the people's news source, and then they share that information. So it always amplified it. I think also, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but look at how outrage culture has kind of calmed down with a real threat facing the world. And I believe it's a combination of social media and the fact that we are living currently in the most peaceful time period in the history of mankind, where people still want to be outraged over the most stupid shit. So people want to have something to bitch about. That makes a lot of people wake up in the morning and feel that they've got like some direction in life, is to be upset over something. I mean, Greta Thunberg is a perfect example of how people can just completely lose sight of what is really really important. And the fact that she was Times Person of the Year, right? She was Times Person of the Year. So what has Greta done like this year to assist for with the fight with
I
COVID-19?
see she's jumped on the COVID bandwagon. Now it seems she's
Oh
craving
yes.
the attention. She's now
She's
saying,
given up her salary just so that she can get some media attention. Or it's not her salary, she gave up her prize money for something. I saw that.
and I saw you now. You asked who did Quentin Ferreira work for when he said he feared that he would lose his job. He said I worked for the Department of Health in Gauteng.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. I wonder though. That's interesting. I can see a conflict there. Uh when you work for the government, then obviously you can't go against legislation.
Hmm. So then also, I think something that I wanted to talk to you about is when it comes to, for example, amassing an audience on YouTube, and it doesn't matter how big it is. I think, let's say, I think we all know, like when you start amassing a proper audience, in terms of thousands of people watching you, getting at least a few hundred watching you live, and seeing your subscriber count grow to proportions of 50,000, 70,000, 100,000. Do you think there comes a level of increased responsibility when your audience grows like that?
Yeah, I think look, I'm I'm in the unique situation where my subscribers calls out my bullshit, right? So I've got a good mixture of people that are subscribed to me that aren't an echo chamber. I'm very, very lucky in that sense. My subscribers feel comfortable enough to say, Ronaldo, we disagree with you, or you're being an idiot now, stop it, you know? But with that being said, I've seen various channels that you have to be worried when you have something like 50,000 or more subscribers and you put out a video and your dislikes is 0 to 10. Then you have to be worried, because then it means you are in an echo chamber. But I do believe that yes, you need to be more responsible, because there are some people that will, if I, for example, if I had to say during a video or a live stream, go on Conscious Caracal's latest video and thumb it down and spam him and report his channel, then there's a possibility that there might be 2,000 people that report your channel and you could be shut down. So yes, there definitely is that situation where you need to take responsibility for what you say and what you do, and also, of course, the legal challenge. If you go legally and you are one person with 5 friends on Facebook versus, or 5 subscribers on YouTube, versus somebody with 70,000 subscribers that say some stuff and people go and do what you tell them to do, then yeah, I mean, definitely, I think that you need to take accountability and responsibility. And there is a bigger sense of responsibility with the bigger your crowd is.
Right. And especially as well, in terms of the nature of your channel and mine, where we focus on spreading information. I think the
Mm.
bigger your channel becomes, you need to be aware that if you put out a video that is completely false, and specifically videos that involve other people, and that's completely false, and it gets 50,000 views, 100,000 views, that's a very big impact in the life of one other person based on false information, or an impact in the world in general. And I think I also agree that there's a level of responsibility that comes with it. But at the same time, I also don't think that YouTubers, even if they get very big, should be their viewers' keeper or their babysitter of the people that watch them. I think you also need to give some view your audience as mature in terms of that they will call you out on your bullshit, or you need to cultivate an audience that does that, an audience that keeps you in check, or an audience that will call you out even if you are wrong.
So I've got a two finger on this. So as an example, and I'm not trying to piss on anybody's parade, but there's a specific YouTube channel that a lot of people know that I've got a massive issue with. And the reason that I've got an issue with that channel is because of the fact that there's no accountability on the information that is shared. I made a video about how easy it is to give fake news to that individual and that person reporting on it, right? The whole point of that exercise was to showcase that there is no accountability, right? And then people turned it into, oh, Renaldo is scared that he'll be surpassed. And I mean, I'm not that's not even a concern that I have. The concern that I have is how it reflects on other South African YouTube creators. So, I know that there's a bunch of young and new channels that are coming through the ranks, and I hope that they surpass me one day. I mean, I hope your channel surpasses me, because I believe that the content that you put out is more detailed than the stuff that I do. I see myself as a glorified reporter on news, whereas you do a deep analysis of it, right? But the problem is that, imagine, because the YouTube bubble is quite small, and the South African YouTube bubble is even smaller. Now imagine you have somebody, let's use me as an example, instead of using that other dick. Let's use me as an example. Let's say that I start bringing out a lot of fake information about South Africa, right? And I am the person that a lot of overseas people see as the face of South African YouTubers in politics. Do you think that
brings the truth?
No,
reports the truth.
So let's say that the people then see my video, and then they see I've got 80,000 subscribers, and then they eventually realize that shit, that information is false information that this guy with 80,000 subscribers gave to me about South Africa. Now the next recommended video is your video, and you've got close to 4,000 subscribers. Do you think that guy is going to go, I'm not sure if I should trust this guy, because the other guy that had more subscribers were telling me cuck about South Africa? So do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing for somebody with a massive subscriber base to not give accurate information? And then when they get called out, they're not the ones at fault. It's the other person that showcased it that's at fault. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I agree with you that you mustn't babysit, because we've seen how the media have latched onto subscribers of a specific person. I am not my subscribers. If somebody drops the K bomb in my chat, then if I don't see it and I miss it and the media reports on that, how is that a reflection on me if my channel is open for the world, for everybody to comment on? If I'm aware of that and I read it out and I do nothing, then I'm responsible. If, however, that person says something like that, then I will block them immediately. So I agree with you on that front, that you can't be held accountable for what people on your channel says, because then it's a slippery slope. Because let's say when I had that 20,000 people live stream, should I be held accountable for the 40,000 comments that was left? And do you even know if that person is a subscriber of mine? And even if they are a subscriber, how would I know that they said that? And how can you hold me accountable?
No, exactly. I see another excellent example that I forgot about in regards to people facing consequences for their views online. Bernard Brits says, look at what happened to James Demore, and he was from Google. Yeah, so just again, this was a guy that worked for Google, and he was fired because he spread a memo within the company that was anti-feminist or against this whole social justice narrative. But I will leave that to people watching. You can go check it out for yourself. He has done a lot of interviews on YouTube, and he's also written quite a few pieces. And then I see here, Yupi Furi, excellent name by the way, says the caracal looks like a lacquer guy at Renaldo.
What am I missing? Why is it such a lack of can somebody explain it to me unless I'm missing
Oh,
something?
the perfect person to be able to explain to you would be Ruan Goosen, but I'll give you a short explanation. So Yupifuri in Afrikaner or Boer culture is one of our great like rebel heroes in terms of he was part of the Afrikaner rebellion in
Okay.
was it 1914, and
Okay.
he was killed in front of a firing squad for it, and his letter that he wrote is still today held as one of the great pieces of what was written down about
Wow. I need
Afrikaner
to
rebellion at the time.
Scary part, ek is Afrikaans en ek is nie so clued up met my geskiedenis nie, so ek moet 'n plan maak.
I'll maybe do a video on it. It's really
Yeah.
amazing stuff. But anyway, let me just check here. I've been neglecting the chat for a while. Let's see here.
There's a lekker one from Diff Rater, and I'm a
Yeah.
typical YouTuber because I'm jumping in and trying to take over your show now.
What did you
He
spot?
said it earlier on. He said the center can be persuaded by a logical argument. The extreme left and right want complete blind loyalty to the dogma of their positions. And then he says, "Good day, by the way, conscious caracal." That nails it. It's pretty much like I've changed a couple of my stances based on a very good argument. Unfortunately, I mean, I haven't seen the same from the solid left or the solid right. That's the problem, is that people are moving further away from one another and throwing more insults than focusing on getting closer to solving some ideological differences.
Mm. No, I think that's a very interesting point. You actually put it very well. And then definitely, I think you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, but it's something I want to get your thoughts on, and that is what your advice would be for an up and coming YouTuber in this environment. Not maybe even specifically a political or news YouTuber, but just someone that wants to try out the platform. What would you tell them? How should they start out, and what should they do?
Do something that you really find interesting and that you'll be able to make either a video every 2 or 3 days about, or at least a video a week, which leads to the second point, which is consistency. My channel started growing really well when I started being consistent. And don't try and copy other people. I know that's hard because everybody, at least everybody has covered every single topic on YouTube. So originality will be really, really hard, but stay true to who and what you are, and don't try and copy somebody else's technique, because then they might as well just go and watch that person's channel. But don't be scared to brand yourself. Don't be scared to market yourself. I'm sure that if only it starts off with your family watching your videos, then that's great, because the first people that started watching my videos was my friends and family. They are the ones that then shared it on like Mixit back in the day or whatever, and that is how it grows. So don't be scared to market yourself, because there are people that would like probably to hear what you have to say. So consistency, staying true to what you want to upload. Don't copy other people's like styles, and do something that you're passionate about. That is definitely the advice that I would give. And then promote the living shit out of it. That's what you need to do.
All right. I see here's a question for me. Do you have the copy of the Solidarity Judgment? Not at the moment. I am working on I have it in PDF form. So just for context for the other people, today Solidarity and AfriForum were in the court to fight the tourism, the Department of Tourism's BEE idea, where they want to give people COVID-19 funds based on racial quotas. And so the Solidarity Judgment, I will put it on my Twitter within the next 24 hours. I'm working on getting a link for it, because like I said, I've got the judgment in PDF form, but you can't share a PDF on Twitter. So I'm working on getting it on any type of website so I can share the link, but I will get that tomorrow. And then There was another question that I saw that I wanted to address.
How many people do we have watching at the moment?
92.
That's good. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good, man. For
Why
my
don't you
channel.
have super chats and like why don't you have super chat?
I don't really care for it, man. Maybe one day I'll enable super chats, but it's not on the
No,
top of
man,
my
that's
priority
bullshit. Can
list.
we get in the comments? Should Conscious Caracal enable his super chats? Do you have the option to do it?
I do, yes.
Do it now, man. Come on, Let's put some
But shouldn't
pressure.
I connect my bank account to it first, man?
No, you can do that later. Enable your super chat right now, dude. I want to be the first person to give a super chat. Do it.
How do
Do
you
it.
do it?
Okay, let me run you through it. So this is going to be really interesting
Do
for
you go to
people.
settings?
Yeah. So you go to your channel studio,
Yes,
right? Okay, so you go to YouTube Studio,
yes,
and then you scroll down to monetization,
yes.
and then you go to supers, or what option does it give there for you?
Sign up for Google AdSense or get reviewed.
Okay,
Oh,
okay, you're still far away. you, you need to start with that. I thought that you might have linked a AdSense account already.
no, dude.
Come
It's
on,
not like I
dude.
said. It's not high on my priority list, man.
Everybody here says yes, except Cosmic Surfer that says no, but it's only because Cosmic Surfer doesn't want to feel guilted into giving. Dude, that's another thing, and I'm unashamedly I feel this way. If you put time and effort into producing content and it's time that you could have spent with your loved ones, then you should not feel guilty for doing that. That is why a lot of people say, "Oh, look, Ronaldo is begging for money." Well, you know what? You don't have to watch it. You don't have to listen to me ask for super chats or any of that stuff. So never ever be guilted into somebody else wanting to dictate what you should or should not do. I always say it, fuck him. That is my motto. That is how I feel about it, because you always have vocal critics that want to tell people how to live their lives. And I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent, but you get people that tell me that I shouldn't vape in my own house. Until you pay my fucking mortgage, shut up. I don't care about what you have to say. So yeah.
We just got the comment of the night. Ruan Huisen says Ernst is Diogenes. So for
Okay.
anyone that doesn't know, go check out. Well, I think a nice normie-friendly video on Diogenes would be the one actually that PewDiePie made. He talked about him. I was aware of him for a while before that, but it's pretty much just this guy that lived in a barrel in Greece and he didn't care about earthly things.
That's all good and well, but you put out
But he
quality
was
content.
a major philosopher. He walked the streets with Plato.
But you see, the thing though is that Plato is popular because he probably made a killing, and everybody knows who Plato is.
If Plato could enable super chats, he would, man.
Exactly. So, I mean, you got the response here. A lot of people are saying yes, and I think that I would gladly support your content. It's up to you though, but
All right,
at
man.
least just give people the
Maybe in the
option.
future,
Yeah.
I'll let you be the first super chat man in the future.
Thanks,
I'll
man.
sort that out.
Thanks.
Let's see. I saw Quentin said, "Yeah, I would super chat you right now." Okay, dude. You
There
can
we
buy
go,
me a
dude.
beer if you're ever in South Africa, bro. What the people watching can do now is they can subscribe, man. That's already a big thing for me.
Oh, and so it starts. You see, now you're already asking too much. You see.
I'm just imitating you, man. What was it? Was a Germ that said if you log into a Renaldo stream at any time, it's just going to be him asking for subscriptions.
Well, maybe that's why I'm at 78,000 subscribers and he's still at 3,000.
Maybe, man. But yeah, another question I got actually on social media that someone wanted me to ask you is, what have you thought about? I mean, you work for the DA, so you're obviously going to have a bit of a skew here. But anyway, what have you thought of the role of the opposition parties during the lockdown so far, in terms of how they've reacted, what they've done? Don't you think that civil society is putting their neck out there, but the opposition parties are kind of sitting back at the moment and not really throwing their weight around?
So, as an opposition counselor, this is arguably the hardest that I've had to work since I became a counselor. I have worked nonstop for the last 35 days. There are thousands of DA counselors I know around South Africa that is every day on the ground assisting with food parcels, reporting people that aren't getting their SASA food parcels or their money or assisting them. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, my view is biased. The EFF is absolutely nowhere. And I'm going to probably get a bit of heat for this, but the Freedom Front Plus is nowhere. Where's the Freedom Front Plus? What has the Freedom Front Plus done on the ground at the moment? So the EFF is nowhere. They're reading books to one another. The Freedom Front Plus, not sure that what have they contributed to the plan. I know that the ANC has pretty much copied and pasted a version of the DA's levels plan. Uh, our plan that we had would have been a lot more liberal, and you would have been able to walk your dog, jog, do whatever you wanted to. 100% of the industry would have been open. E-commerce would have worked. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes that happens. But remember, this is the thing. Many of the people that are watching this are very, very critical and skeptical of the media. Remember that the media is also the same ones that aren't telling you what the opposition is doing. So, yeah, I mean, business has definitely come to the party and assisted, and they've upped their role in assisting and doing pretty much what the government needs to do. But people also need to realize that when you are the opposition, there's only so much that you can do. And I can assure you that from the DA's perspective and from I can only speak from my caucus. In my caucus, every single councillor is on the ground and held accountable for what they are doing every single day.
Well, I think my comment there would be that I think it's high time that the DA actually start doing a bit more in terms of really seriously taking on the ANC. Because at the end of the day, I mean, this is the ANC. You got to smell the blood in the water, man. This is the biggest real opportunity in a while that the DA has to really put the ANC in its place, instead of pretty much just putting on social media things, putting real actual challenges, like, for example, court cases, and challenging the lockdown a bit further. I think it's a golden opportunity that might go to waste.
Well, did you see what happened? Was yesterday? Did you see what happened yesterday with the city of Tshwane?
No, what was it?
The DA won it. The DA took the ANC to court for the MEC declaring the metro as what's it? I forget the term now, but they've pretty much found that the MEC was wrong in nullifying the city of Tshwane's council. So now the city of Tshwane is back in, and the DA won that court case. Remember, there's a lot of court cases that are taking place that the wheels of justice turns really, really slowly in South Africa. So there are many court cases that the DA is involved in at the moment in fighting the ANC. And they are either doing it on their own or they're fighting it with somebody else. But you probably won't hear about it because the media doesn't report on it. A perfect example of this is on, what was it, Freedom Day. Look how much airtime Julius Malema got in his address versus how much airtime other people got.
Sorry, Renaldo, I just saw something in the chat that's absolutely beautiful. So this is probably one of my international subscribers. Captain Seekelt asks, "What's DA?" And then HBM says, "Das Moeilikheid."
So the DA is a Democratic Alliance. It's the official opposition in South Africa. It's a liberal organization that I would. I'm too scared to say that they would be considered Democrats in the United States because I think that they are far more liberal than actual Democrats, and far more open to understanding the needs of people in South Africa and the South African context.
I think the DA, you can't really compare them to the United States. I think that would be a big mistake.
That's why I said it.
The South African political environment is completely different. But now, while we're talking about the political parties and politics in South Africa, I think a lot of people have been demanding that you give your uncensored thoughts on Cyril Ramaphosa's leadership, or we are led. In this time, I think people are asking for a rage there.
But the DA has been doing that for quite a while, unless you're talking about me.
No, I'm talking about you personally. Not the
no, dude, I've said it. The guy's an absolute idiot. The guy has Here it is. If you want it on this channel, he's an absolutely useless president. He is more dangerous than Jacob Zuma because he oversaw the state capture under Jacob Zuma. He was the deputy president for Jacob Zuma. He kept quiet. He said fuck all while Jacob Zuma was doing state capture. He did nothing because he's a multi-billionaire and he did nothing. If you're a multi-billionaire, then surely the only thing that motivates you more than opening your mouth is more power. And what he saw was that he could become the number one citizen in this country, and that was more attractive for him than the billions that he already has, right? So he failed the country in talking and speaking out against Jacob Zuma. Secondly, what he did was he was the person that was put in charge in 2014 to turn around the state-owned enterprises in South Africa. Where's SAA now? Where's the post office now? Where is Eskom right now? He is absolutely useless. And the first time that he actually acted presidential was when he gave us the bad news that we are going to go into a lockdown. And now people have very short memories, and then they go, oh, he spoke so well. He spoke so well, and he acted presidential. And you know why that is so important? It's because for the last 12 years, we have not had a real president in this country. So the first time they see somebody that actually acted presidential, they are latching onto that and they think, oh, here we go. It's the new dawn. It really is the new dawn. And that is absolute bullshit. So, no, I don't have any. Sorry, yeah.
When you're walking through the desert, even a glass of water tastes like the best thing you've ever had. Yeah, man, the Ramaphoria is real. But what we're seeing, I think, and Quentin summed it up perfectly on Twitter, Quentin Ferreira, he said, it's amazing how far a middle-class accent can get you in South African politics.
And it's not even a joke. It's not even a joke.
The standard was set so very low by the previous president that what we're having now is, oh, this guy can string 3 sentences together. That means he is the savior now. But people forget forget his past. They just brush over it. The guy, it's under Cyril Ramaphosa that we're getting EWC, that we're getting all this load shedding, even more load shedding, under which we're getting talks of NHI. It's not, Zuma is not the president anymore. All those things are things that now are still being kept around. Under Cyril Ramaphosa, we still have people like Mbalula in his position. And then you have people in the media saying, oh, but it's all these ministers undermining Cyril. That's the problem. Who put them there?
It's his cabinet. It's his cabinet. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. And this is, well, in my rant, in case people don't already know how I feel about Cyril Ramaphosa. The guy, if Cyril was in the sidelines just as either a minister or as a member of parliament, and he wasn't part of the leadership, right? Then I could go, okay, cool. We really can't blame Cyril Ramaphosa for the stuff that happened under Jacob Zuma. But he was the deputy president of the country while Jacob Zuma was doing what he was doing. And he was put in charge in fixing the biggest issues that we currently have in this country, and he couldn't do it. Then that's not even mentioning Marikana. I mean, we forgetting Marikana and all of this as well. The guy has been given everything that he has and the value of what he is in his billions with handouts. He's been given handouts left, right, and center, given the rights to McDonald's for South Africa or Africa. I'm not even sure. I think it's South Africa. And then the triple BEE contracts that he got as a partner in the mining industry. That is where he made his money. When last has Cyril Ramaphosa done anything of substance? The real question that we have to ask ourselves is it? Let me get it right now because I want to get it. Was it Rolf Meyer? Is it Rolf Meyer or was it Rolf Passon?
No, but who are you talking about? What did they do?
Negotiations. The negotiations.
That was Rolf Meyer.
So you really have to start to ask yourself was Rolf Meyer the real person that was actually working hard in order to make this country a democracy? Because I don't think, based on what we've seen over the last couple of years, that Cyril Ramaphosa can contribute, that he was actually that influential in drafting the constitution and the government of the time.
Well, don't get me started on Rolf Meyer, but
Yeah.
on a different note, what I saw here is Ruan Goosen actually sums it up perfectly. He says he is doing a great job. The NDR is being implemented flawlessly, and yes, that's kind of the case.
That's not even true, though. It's not even true. Like, if he was competent enough, then we would have been a lot further with the National Democratic Revolution.
Oh,
but
man,
we're
but
not.
you boil a frog slowly.
No, man,
No,
that's cock. That's a cock excuse. You're trying to like excuse incompetence here. The guy has made some outlandish statements, but he's just terrible at what he does, and that's why he can't even get communism right in South Africa.
Well, what we're seeing here, Ruan, this comment. Ruan actually makes a good point. He says the balance of forces, but anyway, that's a bit of a more of a deeper topic for another time. What I'm seeing here is, especially now yesterday, now Cyril is tweeting out that he just had a call with his brother, Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela, a dictator, someone who's under whose watch the police have driven over protesters with army vehicles. And here Cyril Ramaphosa is my brother. And I tweeted out, I said he wanted to tweet comrade, but then his PR team informed him that the Berlin Wall fell 29 years ago, so he had to kind of tone that down. But dude, this is our president, the guy he's chummies with dictators.
You've seen that. Look, to get back to the point, I think that Cyril Ramaphosa is not really seeing a resurgence from the poor black communities, right? I think Cyril Ramaphosa is seeing a resurgence of support from your white middle class individual. And the problem is
the oaks that he was jogging with at Sea Point.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I don't know if you can play that video, but I mean, a lot of people haven't seen that video where he's in parliament and he's pretty much attacking a very young white MP for being white. Literally, he's blaming apartheid on that young white MP from the Democratic Alliance. I don't know if you've seen that clip, but I would recommend that people in the comments go and look for that clip, or at least if you find it, post it. Because he literally, the MP asked him a legitimate question about something related to, the government's failure. And then Cyril Ramaphosa looks at him and he says, "But you white, you were the oppressors during apartheid."
I've seen that.
So, I mean, here's the same Cyril Ramaphosa that the white middle class is now adoring, pretty much attacking somebody because of the color of his skin. And I'm pretty sure he was probably, 10, 12 years old during apartheid. So, I mean, yeah, as a 12-year-old, he was supposed to stand up and tell the National Party and that regime to stop their shit. Like, that's the type of reasoning we have.
So earlier tonight, I said Ruan Goosen won the live chat for tonight with his comment, but William van der Walt is giving him some steam with his chomis or commies.
Chomi komi. That's the best one, yeah.
But yeah, man, and this brilliant businessman, talking about Venezuela, this brilliant businessman, Cyril Ramaphosa, yesterday said, Maduro is inviting us to come invest in Venezuela. Yeah, Venezuela, one of the worst economic faring countries of the past decade. I think I saw the inflation rate the other day. They went through like 1 billion% inflation rate at one point. And their country's completely fallen apart. It's just dysfunctional. It's completely destroyed. And now he wants us to go put our money there. I said I'd rather invest in that rotten milk scam from the 80s.
Yeah. Scheme. And then there's the whole Cuba thing where we've accepted 219 doctors, and there's now this leaked draft document that shows the expenditure of how much these doctors are going to cost us. And the reason that I probably give credit and believe that this document might be real is because the government refused to acknowledge its existence. If they just came out and said it's fake, then it would be, okay, cool. Maybe this was one of those. But the fact that they didn't want to comment on it or talk about its existence is problematic. And in that thing, they've pretty much admitted, or it says that they are spending 440 million rand on these 219 doctors for the next year. while we have doctors that are sitting at home and health practitioners that are jobless currently.
Mm. And I saw there as well, the US Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said, I think, yeah, he's the Secretary of State. But anyway, he said that the South African government accepting Cuban doctors, they must pay them directly. Otherwise, when they pay the regime, the Cuban regime's getting a shit ton of money from
They're not
this.
going to get it. They're not going to get anything.
It's just human trafficking at the end of the day.
It's crazy. It just boils back to the fact that at the moment, Cyril Ramaphosa is not fighting on behalf of the country. He's fighting on his existence in the ANC. He beat Dlamini Zuma. I think it was 117 votes, or 170 or 117 votes. That is out of thousands of people that voted in that who became the president of the ANC. So you can also see this like moving over with Dlamini Zuma overturning what the president has recommended, that cigarettes will be allowed on level 4. So this whole thing is also an eternal battle between her and Cyril Ramaphosa. Now,
Right.
I have to be honest, who would I rather have as the president? Would I rather have Cyril Ramaphosa or Dlamini Zuma? Well, I would rather have Cyril Ramaphosa. Rather
Oh,
the devil you know.
you're asking me who would you rather vote for, Satan or the Antichrist?
Well, yeah, I know, pretty much. But out of the two that we have to have, I would rather have Cyril than Dlamini Zuma. I'm sure that everybody here has seen the photos circulating of her with the EFF chommies, the
Yeah.
Mazottis and them. So now, if you want to ask why cigarettes are still banned under level 4, your answer lies in that photo. Because, I mean, firstly, what is an old mama doing with these youngsters in a photo? Firstly, that's the first question. The second question is, why would you take a photo with people that you know has got a questionable history? I don't know.
Well, Ruan Goosen says it's like picking a public toilet.
It pretty much is.
Yeah, man. No, we're in a very strange situation in terms of our leadership, but it seems like the ANC is running out of leadership in terms of, I don't know who's coming after Cyril Ramaphosa. I hope it's not David Mabuza.
We are one heart attack away from David Mabuza. Let that sink in.
That's going to be
We are one heart attack away or a heart arrhythmia away from David Mabuza. And then you're going to see probably the NDR being implemented correctly and fast.
And I just remembered something that I wanted to ask you, because you actually have experience in this. Will this lockdown or this pandemic affect the municipal elections next year?
I suspect not. But with that being said, I think that obviously there will be some changes perhaps in how you can do canvassing for the election. So I don't think, I mean, if that would be, at the moment, people are still questioning whether or not this is a power grab. If they touch that, then the court system will quickly step in. And I think that that is one of the fundamentals, the elections. You can't delay the elections by more than 90 days. So they'll have to either find a way for it to happen. But a lot of people are saying that the ANC is in their element with this whole lockdown. It's not. This is really bad for the ANC. Are there some ministers that are on power trips? Yes, without a doubt. Is this something that the ANC's been hoping and praying for? This is a nightmare for them because they are bleeding votes left, right, and center. And this is where the opposition parties and like the DA is coming in and showing how they're leading by example. The Western Cape is a perfect example. People are saying, well, the Western Cape's got the most cases. Why do you think they've got the most cases? Because they're doing the most testing. I mean, if Gauteng had to up their game and do testing, you'll find that Gauteng is way in the lead. But it's because, and I mean, I'm biased. For those of you that don't know, I'm a counselor for the Democratic Alliance. But what I'm saying is that this is not something that the ANC wants. The ANC does not want a junk economy, and they don't want this SASSA nightmare with the food parcels, because for the first time in a very long time, their core voter base, the rural community, is seeing the incompetence. Where in the past it could just be, passed along with the food parcel, but at the moment they can't even deliver that food parcel to the poorest of the poor in the rural communities. So this is a nightmare for the ANC.
So, but do you think then that this will so significantly affect their support that we might see some type of genuine influence on the municipal elections next year?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that, look, what screwed coalition politics over was the EFF. The EFF managed in some metros to have enough support to align with the ANC without making it seem that they were aligning with the ANC. Remember, the two metros that the DA was in a coalition eventually crumbled because of the EFF, which you have to understand that they aligned with the ANC, because Nelson Mandela Bay crumbled because famously Julius Malema said that he'll slit the throat of whiteness, referring to Athol Trollip. That did nothing wrong. Athol Trollip's only sin was that he was a white individual that decided to act decisively against the deputy mayor that later the EFF voted against as well to get rid of. So that is an example. And then Tswane is another example. So yes, I believe that in 2021, hopefully, there'll be one or two big metros that the DA can win in such a manner that coalition politics will mean that you can get rid of a coalition partner if they don't act accordingly, and you'll still be able to maintain that metro. Obviously, first prize is outright, but I think coalition politics is the future of South Africa, especially in our national, the 2024 national election. But then again, the EFF plays a critical part there. And I'm sorry to hamper on about this, but my prediction, I mean, I'm known as Siener van Gouws or Nostra Gouws. I believe that what potentially could happen in 2024 is that we will see the ANC under 50%. The EFF will come in and would want the deputy president, which would then be Julius Malema, as the deputy president of South Africa, and we'll see at least 4 or 5 EFF ministers, which is going to be the worst that South Africa is going to experience before things are going to be completely turned around.
Well, I hope someone clips this and we can see, we can get back to this in 2024 and we'll see if you were right.
More than welcome to do it.
Ek sien hierso Dan sê dag korporaal, gaan dit? Nee Dan, dit gaan baie goed hierso. Dis maar net so koud soos UCB's mekaar is 'n hart hierso in Pretoria, maar dit's andersins alright.
Wat's 'n hart?
Maar ja, dankie dat jy ingeskakel het. I see there was a question for you, but I've lost it now. Oh, it was from Quentin. Here we go. Big question about the DA. How do they expect to win votes from the populist left, ANC EFF, without resorting to populism themselves and losing the centre and centre right? So he's basically saying moving further left to get those votes.
Well, we've learned a lesson in the last election, didn't we? So the real people to target is those people that refuse to vote or do not want to vote, or the young people that don't think it's worth their time to vote because they aren't paying taxes and they aren't seeing their tax money going to waste. So the big target here will be your young voter that doesn't have blind loyalty to the ANC because of something that happened 26 years ago or before that. And secondly, because they aren't radical enough to want to be part of the EFF. So within that missing, what is it, like 30 or 40%, you can easily get 5, 6, 7% if you just play your cards right and you stick to your principles. I firmly believe that South Africa wants a government that's competent and that believes in uplifting people and making people wealthy based on them wanting to work. If that can happen, and we can speak on that message rather than speak on what the ANC is doing wrong or what the EFF is doing wrong, I believe that we can get that, because our biggest growth happened under Helen Zille, when that is exactly what we were speaking to. We were speaking about our successes and what we've done rather than what the opposition's doing wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. As the opposition, you need to hold the government responsible. So we need to talk about the ANC and what they're doing wrong, and we need to take them to court. But we can really honestly stop talking about the Malema cancer and the EFF cancer, because at the moment they are a 10% party, and we need to focus on telling our story and what we are doing well, because we have great stories to tell. We have fantastic leaders that we can talk about. Helen Suzman, Molly Blackburn. We can talk about heroes within the DA. We don't need to tell a Nelson Mandela story. Nelson Mandela is not a DA product. Nelson Mandela is an ANC product. And as much respect as I've got for Nelson Mandela, we have many people in the DA that we can refer to and talk about our history and how we opposed and fought against apartheid, and how we can improve this country by talking about the Western Cape, Koga, which is Jeffreys Bay, and wherever we govern better than the ANC, and we govern at a world standard.
Well, that was a very detailed thought there. I see there's a question for me. Yanni van der Walt asks, what are your thoughts on the non-voting South Africans? Should they have a say or be able to rant if they don't vote? So you're basically saying it's that age-old adage, if you don't vote, you can't complain. I can't say I agree with that sentiment. I think that's like saying if you're poor and you don't play the lottery, then you can't complain that you're poor. So I think everyone should have an opinion in South African or in politics.
That's such a bullshit. I'm sorry,
No,
I disagree with you.
no,
No.
not
You have
voting.
to.
Not
No.
voting is a vote. Not voting is a vote. If you can point to the majority of South
No,
Africans,
I'm talking about your example. I'm talking about your example, because buying a lotto ticket costs money. Voting doesn't cost money.
No, voting
It's
costs
free.
time. You have to go stand in a line in the sun. You have to go,
Technicalities. Come on.
no, man. No, dude.
But I
And
agree
then
with you. I agree with you in principle. People are so despondent that they don't go and vote, and
yes,
that
and
is the sorry.
yeah.
Okay, you were busy talking. I'm sorry. I
I just wanted to
interrupted.
say that is a message. If you can say, well, the ANC did win this election, but the majority of South Africans didn't go to the ballot box, that is still a statement. Not voting is a choice. It's if you say that if you don't vote, you can't complain. Then you can also say that, well, if you did vote and your party didn't win, then you can't complain because you did participate, and by participating in the election, you gave consent to whoever wins. So then you can't complain either. So at the end of the day, nobody can complain. So
Can I jump in here quick? Sorry, finish your thought, but there's a comment that I actually would like to focus on.
no, yeah, go for it.
So Groen Hond Cut, you can put it on if you want to. I'll gladly discuss that. It's my opinion. So Groen Hond Cut says Schweizer Reineke. It's a great DA story. There are actually many people within the DA that immediately called out that bullshit. Remember that because one person says something and it goes public does not mean that that is exactly how the entire political party feels about that. Remember that a political party exists of a lot of individual parts and a lot of individual people with their opinions, right? So Schweizer Reineke was an absolutely shit show. It was an absolute shit show. And I feel very strongly about what that individual said. I made it known immediately once I saw it. I called it out. So now the question that I've got for you is, I am a person within the DA that vehemently opposed the cuck that was spewed by that individual. So now are you classifying me as the same as that person or not? Because I think it's not really correct in trying to say that I am exactly the same as the person that made that statement. Added to that is the fact that the DA has apologized. The DA has corrected the wrongs that was done there. So are we living in a society where you're not allowed to make a mistake anymore and ever be forgiven for that? Because if we do that, then please throw the first stone from your glass house.
I see Dagbreker actually summed up my point perfectly about not voting. Sometimes the most powerful word is a perfectly timed silence. I can't agree more. And then I saw here another remark or a question. What is the difference between not voting and spoiling your vote? Well, I think both would be. I think they're pretty much equal. Going to vote and spoiling your ballot is just a bit more of a blatant middle finger.
No, but can I jump in there? Because so let me give some advice to people that want to go and spoil their ballot. Okay, I've sat in numerous election halls or in the voting stations when we count. All right. So, at the end of the night when the voting stations start counting their votes and there's thousands of votes, right? Literally, this is how quick your thing goes when you try to spoil your vote. Okay. So what'll happen is they'll have broken everything up into piles of so that you flip it over and then you say DA and then you put it in that pile, ANC you put it in that pile, Vryheidsfront Plus in that pile, EFF whatever. So literally, what happens is by that time they turn the ballot over and they say spoiled ballot. They show it, people go yes or no, and then they move it to the back where the spoiled ballots are, and that's it. It's literally like a second. So now you stood in a queue for a half an hour, you drove out your petrol, and you went to go and spoil your ballot. You went through all that effort to try and show a middle finger, and then all that people see at that time is a second where you go spoiled ballot, move it to the back. Your name's not on it. You might feel better, but it's really useless. It like even the party agents that's been working the entire day is sitting there and they go, yeah, spoiled ballot. Ooh, So just the top tip. Rather don't do a spoiled ballot because it really doesn't mean anything for the people counting.
I think that's a very important point. And then, yeah, hour and a half has flown by, Renaldo. I think I'm going to have you on again for the future in the future. But then maybe just a conclusionary question: do you have any charities or good causes that you can shout out currently that you think are doing incredible work and that you implore anyone to support?
Sure. So I think the EFF is doing an absolutely amazing job. I'm joking. Okay, so the places that I think is doing a fantastic job at the moment is mostly businesses that are taking initiatives. And I mean, I can only focus on specific areas in my ward. So the RCFF is doing fantastic work. But I would say the organizations that you probably should support when it comes to fighting for your rights during the lockdown is definitely AfriForum, without a doubt. AfriForum is doing an amazing job, and Solidariteit is doing a fantastic job. They've got a what's it? The term it's
They've got a noodfonds or
yeah,
like
but
a
what is
emergency fund.
yeah, it's not called the Solidarity Fund. Don't mistake it. You don't want to pay into that Solidarity Fund. So Solidariteit, AfriForum, and the Institute of Race Relations. They are doing fantastic work. And then I would say if you would like to support, for people that need food parcels and stuff, find out who is your ward councillor. And then say, listen, I would like to assist, and your ward councillor will be able to direct you to NPOs in which they could deliver food parcels to those that need it in your community. That's the advice that I've got.
I think those are all excellent causes to support. And then here I'll put the link in the chat. Vir enigiemand hierso wat nie daarvan weet nie, hierdie is die krisisfonds wat jy voor kan donasie gee. Solidarity has already raised over 6 million rand, and this is not big corporations giving money here like you see with Naspers giving I don't know how much to the Solidarity Fund of the government. This is 6 million of people giving 20 rand, 50 rand, 100 rand. I've also given my little piece there, and I hope other people follow and also give.
And they've already started spending it. That's the best part. They've already, I think, they've gone through most of that money already. Because when I had, who did I have on? Yes, Dirk Herman. I had him on, and when I spoke to him, I think they've already spent like 3 or 4 million of that rand. So it's not like they trying to save it up and then they spending it as it comes in. They've got projects that they do. So definitely, without a doubt, support that.
So yeah, the link was there. You can also then all the information there. It's very easy to donate. There's a Swift code as well, and also a Snap to pay, so you can go support them. I think it's an excellent cause. And then thank you very much for joining me, Renaldo. It was an excellent chat. I always, in my streams with this idea where I tell my guests pretty much, and I mean it, that this could have been just a personal chat off air, and I would have enjoyed it just as much, even if I didn't end up with an end product at the end to show and to share. I
No,
really
thank
enjoyed
you.
it. Hour and a half flew by, and thanks for taking some time out of your busy streaming and ward councillor schedule to come talk to us. And I think it was nice to talk about a few other things than the virus or the lockdown. I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, and thank you for what you're doing, Adams. And I think that what really like I want to see happen is that local content creators like you get the support that you need because and I'm sorry if I'm hampering on, but the thing is that if you had to do exactly what you are doing right now in the United States or in the UK or anywhere else, you would have had over 100,000 subscribers. And it irks me that channels like yours aren't already in at least the 15, 20, 30,000 range. So I will get you on my show. I will promote it like I always do. If I ever see you in the chat, you know that I say go and subscribe to Conscious Caracal. And thank you for what you do and the content that you put out because like I said before, your content is thought provoking. And I think that you and your channel, it does a lot more for the South African narrative than what my channel does. I will gladly say that time and time again. So thank you for the amazing work that you do. And I'm so happy that I remember I was very happy when Conscious Caracal finally came out of the closet and it was Adams
Let the
van
caracal
Sail.
out of the
Now,
bag.
yes, the Caracal was out of the bag. So thank you for the amazing work that you do. And I promise you within the next week, I'll have you on my stream. I'll make it happen. Thank you.
Awesome. And I just saw here someone shouted out my hometown in the chat. JJ Mulder says Malmesbury. Yes.
Malmesbury.
Yeah,
Lekker,
man. I
man.
support the Rockies there, and also I hope some other fellow Swartlanders are watching. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed the stream, leave a like. If you're new here, you don't know about my channel, and you liked what you saw here, I'm going to do more interviews next week. I also make videos. I'm currently releasing a series called The World Must Know, where I cover all the information in AfriForum's The World Must Know Minority Rights Report. And I'm going to release another episode on Monday of that. So if you are new here, subscribe if you like what you saw, and I'll check you again in the next chat. All right, guys, have a good one, and stay safe, and wash your hands, please.